Let's have a look now at changing units of area. So we've done units of length, but let's have a look at units of area. So with area, our smallest one is going to be millimetres squared, and then centimetres squared, metres squared, and kilometres squared. So when we go from millimetres to centimetres, I'm going to do this one first. What we have to do is we'd have to divide by 10 squared. So we could say divide by 100. If we go the other way, we times by 10 squared or times by 100. So it's like you have to times each side once, and that's why it's squared. And when we do volume, it'll be cubed. Similarly, if we go from metres squared to centimetres squared, we know metres to centimetres 100. So this time we times by 100 squared. Or the other way, divide by 100 squared. And same up here, kilometres to metres times by 1,000 squared, or divide by 1,000 squared. Remember, you'll always have your calculator for these, so whilst it might look a bit complicated, you can get your calculator to give you a hand. The other thing you'll need to know is that 1 hectare, that's 10,000 metres squared, and that might come up in some of your questions. So just, getting back to this conversion of area, if I had a square, if this was 1 metre squared, it'd be 1 metre times 1 metre. If we did it in centimetres, it would be 100 centimetres times 100 centimetres. So it would actually be 10,000 centimetres squared. Okay, it's because you have to use both of those lengths. So if we want to convert some units, here we'll do it centimetres squared to millimetres squared. So I'm looking here, it's going this way, so it's times by 100. So I've got 2.5 times by 100. You might know that, or you can do it on your calculator. That's 250 millimetres squared is what it becomes. Let's have a look at B. This is a big number, isn't it? Got a 2 and we've got 6 zeros. And we want to go from centimetres squared to kilometres squared. So it's in centimetres squared. The first thing I'm going to do is go to metres squared. And I know that to go from centimetres squared to metres squared, I divide by 100 squared, or 10,000. And then when I want to get that now to kilometres squared, I say, well, when I go from metres squared to kilometres squared, that's this one. So I have to divide by 1,000 squared, or 1 million, however you want to put that in your calculator. So if you go and pop that in and have a go at doing it, make sure it works, you'll get 0.002 kilometres squared. So it's not very much, is it? Because centimetre squared, think of how tiny a centimetre squared is as opposed to a kilometre squared. So now I'd like you to have a go at these ones. So just stop the video and have a go yourself and see if you can get those answers. So I've got metres squared to centimetres squared. So I'm going to times by 100 squared. So it's 3.5 times 10,000. However you want to put that in your calculator. So it's going to be 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. Haven't got the answers in front of me. I hope that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, centimetres squared. And then for B, it's 50,000 and millimetres squared to metres squared. So millimetres squared to centimetres squared, I divide by 10 squared. And then from centimetres squared to metres squared, I'll divide by 100 squared. So I want you to get your calculator out, and I'm going to get mine out, and I'm going to go 50, 1, 2, 3, divided by 10 squared. And then I'm going to divide that by 100 squared. And you should get 0.05 metres squared. Hopefully that's right, because I haven't checked those. All right, so that's our conversion of units. A bit confusing with area. It's actually a whole lot easier with length, isn't it? But remember, you will have your notes with you when you do these. So let's have a look at the area formula. Some of these you'll know from past maths. Some you might have forgotten. So we're going to say for a square, area is just the length times the length, or we can write that as L squared. For the rectangle, area is length by width. And for the triangle, area is half times the base times the height. So they're all ones that you've seen before, and you should be familiar with those. And then we'll get on to some harder ones. So we've got the rhombus and the parallelogram, trapezium, and kite. So for a rhombus, we've got this distance across from one end to the other, and then we've got this distance here. And the formula for this is area equals half times x times y. So you don't have to remember that, because you'll get that, you'll have your notes with you, so you won't have to worry. For a parallelogram, it's just like a rectangle. It's base times height, but it's got to be that straight up and down height, not this slant height. For the trapezium, with this one, I'm not sure how long it is. If it was a rectangle, it could be this long, it could be this long. It's somewhere in between the two of those. So what we do is we add the A and B together and then times that by the height. And for the kite is similar to the rhombus, same type of shape. So its area is also half xy. So there's some more formulas. Remember, you'll have them in front of you. You just need to match it up. If we want to find a circle with a radius r, the area is pi times r squared. And if we want to find the area of this sector here, so this is a sector, and what that is whatever fraction of the circle times by pi r squared. And how do we know that? Because if we had a quarter circle, that would be 90 degrees, and a quarter is 90 out of 360, and that's this. If we had half a circle, that would be 180 degrees, and 180 out of 360 gives you a half. So that's how we work that out. We just get that angle out of 360 times pi r squared. So let's do some examples. For A, it's a trapezium. And remember, for a trapezium, the area is the two sides added together, find the average, and times by 2. 3 plus 5, get half of that, and times by the height. So that's 8 on 2. Oops, I was thinking of the answer, wasn't it? Which is 8 centimetres squared. Let's keep going. B, half times the base times the height. And we just pop that into our calculator to get 9.57 centimetres squared. Remember, you'll have to press Control equals at the end, or Control Enter, sorry. And then the last one, don't be fooled with this one in C, because the diameter is 1.06, but the radius is half of that, 0.53, and the area is pi r squared. So pi times 0.53 squared, which gives us 0.88 kilometres squared. Now, when you're looking on your calculator, there is a little menu down on the bottom left-hand side that has pi in it. The other thing you can do is if you type in the letters pi, it will automatically correct that to a pi symbol. And last one before we start some questions. Find the value of the pronumeral for these shapes. So what is the value of this L if the area is 11? So we go, if I had 2.3 times L, the answer is 11. So L must be 11 divided by 2.3, and you just work at that two decimal places. 4.78 millimetres. And it's not millimetres squared because it's just a side length. The other thing you could do when you got to this point, you could do a solve for L on your calculator if you would prefer. And the next one, this is a trapezium again. So we go 1.3 plus A, and we halve that. And when you times that by 0.4, you get an answer of whatever that area is, 0.5 metres squared. So with this one, you could rearrange yourself, but I'm looking and think this one's a bit trickier. So on your calculator, you will do solve, type this in and solve that for A, Control Enter, and it will give you an answer, hopefully, that A equals 1.2. So what I'd like you to do now is go through and do questions 1 to 4 for exercise 6C.